Mr. Yeshua, when he explains what is the midas atayve, the trait of desire, as it is written in Pirkei Avos, Akine v'atayve v'akuvoid motziim es odom min ha'olam. So the taive is the second in the list of the three. First, kina, jealousy, and then taive, desire, which includes all kinds of desires. And after that, covet, the desire of covet. Mr. Yeshua explains that the taive is divided in two main streams, two main desires. The first one is the desire for money, and the second one is the desire for covet. Of course, you'll ask a question. You'll ask the question, so what does covet come afterwards? So we must say that when the Tane refers to taive and then covet, one after the other, well, he means taive means other taives than covet. But why then does he list covet as a thing on its own? Since the Mesilas Yesharim says that taive is divided into two main categories. One is the desire for money, the other one is the desire for covet. So why then does the Tani Pirkei Avos have to mention taive and then covet on its own? Covet is not a midah on its own. Covet is included in taive. So the Mesilas Yesharim says like this, although he doesn't ask the question, but from his words we can understand what the answer is. The Mesilas Yesharim says like this: there are two kinds of taives. There are taives which people are aware of. If you ask somebody, do you love money? He'll say straight away, yes, of course I do. Who doesn't? The taive of money is something which is open. It means it's obvious. Everybody recognizes it. The same as the desire for food. Someone is hungry, so he wants to eat. He realizes straight away what he wants. What does he want? He wants food. He wants to eat. So all the other taives are taives which people are easily aware of. But the taive of covet is something very, very special in the fact that people are not aware of them wanting covet. I'll give you an example. To understand what I mean. When I was a bacher in the yeshiva, I went to Gateshead. The first shir I went into was the shir of Rav Moshe Schwab, Zechrono Livracha. And I stayed there for 6 months. 6 months. After 6 months, I saw one of my chaverim was sent to the shir after the second, to the third shir, the shir of the Menahel, Zechrono Livracha. And I said, well, if he can go up, so I can also go up. So I went to Rav Moshe Schwab and I asked him, can I go up a shir? So he said, but why? You only stayed 6 months in my shir. Usually, the usual stay is a year. So I said, look, but this bacher there also only stayed 6 months. So I also want to go up. He said, this bacher is not the same. This bacher has studied with his father quite a lot of Gemara before coming to my shir, which you did not. So, I mean, he's more advanced than you are. I said, nevertheless, I would like to go up. So he said, why do you want to go up? I said, because I said, ich will steigen. Ich will steigen. I want to progress. So I prefer to go in the higher shir. I learn more meforshim, I learn more commentaries. It's a higher level than this shir. He didn't like it. Didn't like it. And he said, the reason why you want to go up really is not for you want to progress, it's because you want covet. At the time, I didn't understand at all what he meant. Because I, for myself, I honestly believed that I wanted to steigen. I didn't know what he meant. I want covet. What covet? I didn't mean at all. I didn't understand at all what he meant. This is what the Midas HaKoved is all about. When a person wants covet, he himself is not aware of him wanting covet. It always comes under the disguise of something else. Let's take, for example, you've got people doing chesed, right? And there's someone else who is in competition of this gemach. And they can't bear it. They say, no, we have the gemach, it's us and nobody else. Why? Because we want all the mitzvahs for ourselves. No one else is allowed to have mitzvahs except us. So what would you say? Those people love mitzvahs very much, don't they? Right? They love mitzvahs so much that if someone else wants to join, they're ready to push them away with harsh words, being over known as devarim. So what is the trouble with those people? That their covet is so well disguised under a cloak of chesed. Or you could tell other stories, like the story of the Even Ezra, who came into a town, and Even Ezra was dressed like a schnorrer, so nobody recognized him, who he was, and nobody invited him at home. So he had to eat with all the poor people there. Another time he came with rabbonische dress. So all the gaboim of the shul, the same shul, they came and they all fought between themselves to invite the Even Ezra to their table. So the Even Ezra chose the gabe, the bigger one, the more mechubed, the more richer, the richest. And he went to eat by him. So when he was at the table and they served the soup, he waited till the soup cooled a bit. Then he took a spoon, Even Ezra, and started putting the soup on his dress. So the Balabos looked at him as if he had lost his seichel. Said, Rebbe, what are you doing? So I'll explain what I'm doing. I came here a month ago and I didn't wear this beautiful dress. I know you didn't invite me. Today, because I have dressed this rabbonish dress, so you've invited me. So in other words, you're mechabed my dress, not me. So I gave the soup to my dress. This is another example how covet can be in disguise under a cloak of chesed. He thinks he's doing a big chesed, he's mechabed the Torah. In actual fact, he's mechabed the dress. We have a proof from Koirach. We read last Shabbos about Koirach. What do you think Koirach wanted when he made a machlekes with Moshe Rabbeinu? If you would have asked Koirach, why do you dispute against Moshe Rabbeinu? Why do you want to become a Kohen Gadol? Why? And if you would have asked all the 250 people, each of one of them wanted to be a Kohen Gadol, you would ask them, why do you all want to become Kohanim Gedolim? Why? You know what they would have said? They would have said, because we want to serve Hashem on a higher level. Why should only one person have the privilege to enter in the Kodesh of Kodoshim in Yom Kippur? We are all entitled to that privilege. Kol Edo Kulam Kedoshim. All Klal Yisrael are Kedoshim. Equality. Why do you give preference to your brother Aaron? We want to steigen. We want to get to the Veikus. We want to get nearer to the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's what we wanted. But no one was aware that he wanted covet. That deep down, what they wanted, because they were jealous of the covet of Aaron, they wanted the same covet as Aaron. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu told them. Uvikashtem gam kehuno. And Mr. Sholem explains, kehuno means greatness. Kehuno means kohen, like kohen oin. Poitifach kohen oin. Kohen oin. He was the administrator, the governor of Oin. Or Yisroi was a Kohen Midian. He was the governor of Midian. Kohen, kehuno, vikashtem gam kehuno. You want greatness. You want to be mechubed. But they didn't realize that. They didn't realize that what they wanted was covered. They thought that I want to steigen, I want to progress, I want to serve Hashem on a higher level. That's what they want. This is what the danger of covet is, and that's why the Tane in Pirkei Avos mentions covet as a separate midah besides taiva, to point to us that you can't include it with all the other taivas, because other taivas, you cannot be oblivious of your taivas. You know you want food, you know you want money, and so on and so on. All the taivas you want, you know what you want. But covet, if you are not very near to your own feelings, to your own analysis, to analyze yourself, you might well think that you want your own covet. You want steigen, you want your progress, you want to do higher mitzvahs, better mitzvahs, but not. The same with the lulav and the esrog. The Arizal says, esrog al tevoeni regel gaivo. Esrog is Rosh Tevis, Aleph al tov tevoeni, resh regel, gimel gaivo. That means, let not enter to me a foot who treads with haughtiness. That is the esrog. What do you mean? It means that gevirim, rich people, they buy esrogim which are worth 300 pounds. No, what would you say? If you ask the gevir, what would he say? Why do you spend so much money on the esrog? We say, because he do mitzvah. He do mitzvah. I want to do the best mitzvah. Yeah? Maybe that is because of show off. You want to show off your nice esrog in shul, you come in shul, the 300 pounds esrog like this, showing it off in front of everybody with a big smile. You are miskabed. You want to get the honor that you have the best esrog. Anybody wants to bench on your esrog, and the Rov comes and says, please, can I have your esrog to bench? And you say, not only I have done the mitzvah of esrog behidu, but I'm doing chesed with the Rov. The Rov is asking me the esrog to bench on. And he doesn't realize himself, al tevoeni regel gava. And so it is in education. Sometimes a talmid or a child is being chutzpahdik with you. So what do? You become angry. You become angry and you speak harsh words. And the child hates you for it. And when you ask that person, why do you become angry when you speak harsh words? He said, I want to educate the child. That's chutzpah. and he himself doesn't realize he doesn't want to educate the child. He's just taking revenge because of his honor, which had been offended. So he's taking revenge on the child. And he himself doesn't realize it. He thinks not he's doing a mitzvah. He's educating the child. And we could go on and on like that to give examples. How much the Yetzer Hara can come and mislead us into thinking we are doing mitzvahs, and in fact, those mitzvahs are only a cloak for a difas hakoved, to run after honor. And that was the mistake of Korach. Korach thought he wanted to steigen. Someone told me that some Sofer says, I think I quoted to you, but I didn't know it was the Chassam Sofer, that Tzadik Katomo Yifroch, if you take the last letters of those three words, Tzadik Katomo Yifroch, a Tzadik will bloom like a palm, date palm. The last three letters is Korach. What does it mean? He says that means that Korach will become Kohen Gadol in Olam Haba. Korach will become Kohen Gadol in Olam Haba. The Korach was a koifer b'nvuos shel Moshe, koifer be'iker Korach. And some say, there is one opinion, although there is another one, we can't say this goes according to that opinion, that he has no chelek to Olam Haba. But if we say he's going to become a Kohen Gadol in Olam Haba, that means he has a chelek to Olam Haba. But the question is, why should Korach become a Kohen Gadol in Olam Haba? The answer is, because Korach, although he did it for the purpose of kavod, but he himself, he had a big part in thought that really he wanted to serve Hashem better. He really wanted to be a Kohen Gadol. Why can't I have the privilege to serve Hashem in Kodesh Kodashim like a Kohen Gadol? And for that good machshove, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu mekapeach tzach kol be'yeh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't let go of any good machshove a person has, even a Rosha like Korach. But he had a good machshove. He wanted to be a Kohen Gadol. So granted. Even a machshove like Korach, by wanting to become a Kohen Gadol, he has to dispute against Moshe Rabbeinu. He has to become a koifer. But since he had a good machshove, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays him for that as well. It's a Chassam Sofer. Someone told me. But, while, for the moment, in Olam Hazeh, that is in Olam Haba, once he'll be purified with the Gehenna. But in Olam Hazeh, we know what happened to him. And that's why Sofer Tevis, only when we take the last letters, not the first letters, because his Gedula of Tzadik Katomo Yifroch will be at the end, after all the Gehenna, and after Mashiach will come, then Tzadik Katomo Yifroch, then he will bloom. The Tzadik will bloom out of him like a palm date. And that's also the reason why Kol HaGodol Mechavero Yitzchak Godol Mimenu. At least one explanation is, the greater a person is in Tzidkus, and the greater and more powerful is his Yetzer Hara. One explanation is, as we just said, because the greater a person is, and the more he has ambition to serve Hashem in a better way, and then the Yetzer Hara can come very easily and mislead him in wanting more kavod in Avodas Hashem. Because he has the power, he has the capacity to serve Hashem on a higher level, so the Yetzer Hara can come and fool him into thinking he wants to steigen, when the emes he wants just kavod. That's why the greater a person is, and the more in danger he is. There was a story about a Rosh Yeshiva spoke to another Rosh Yeshiva. He said, you know, when I come into my yeshiva, I see all my Talmidim learning the Asmodeh at night. I'm making a rekide. I'm dancing of joy. From the Kiddush Hashem, Baruch Hashem, so many Talmidim are learning so well. So the other Rosh Yeshiva answered him back, would you also make a rekide when you come to my yeshiva and you see my Talmidim learning Bas Modeh? You see, sometimes also here a person can fool himself. He has Havas HaTorah so much, he loves Torah so much that when he sees Talmidim learning, good, so he wants to go out and dance. But when there are his Talmidim, when there are someone else's, no. So you see how dangerous it is. Midas are covered. And so we could say many more examples. When someone lacks respect to you and you become angry. And I ask you, why do you become angry? And you say, because I'm a Telem Elokim. People should give me cover because of my Telem Elokim. I'm not becoming angry on myself. It's only that they don't give cover to the Telem Elokim in me. Or they don't give cover to my Torah. So I'm angry for Kvod HaTorah. Now, we'll answer him back. Would you be as angry as you are now if you would see your friend being insulted? Would you also be angry that his Kvod HaTorah was insulted? Or his Tzelem Elokim was insulted? You see? How easily one can make a mistake, and one has to be very careful when it comes to this midah. That's why the Tana in Pirkei Avos listed covered separately from Taiva, although it is included in Taiva, as the Mesilas Yesharim says, that the Taiva is divided into two main streams. Chemdas HaMomen, Chemdas HaKovet. The difference is that no one make a mistake about money, the desire of money. Everybody agrees, I know I want money. I'm not saying now I want to steigen. When someone wants to win the lottery, he will never say, I want to steigen. I want to reach the Veikos. He'll agree straight away, I want money, and that's it. For what purpose? Another thing, I want to do mitzvahs, that yes. But for the love of money itself is obvious. Of course I want money. But covet, the person can bichlal ignore, that he wants covet at all. I don't want covet, I don't care about covet. No. Some people, once in a Nasif, in a gathering of Rabbonim, one old Rov got up on his feet, he said, nobody can suspect me that I'm the first to say a drosha because I want covet. At my age, with a white beard, I've been over those stupidities of covet. So there was there the whole Yohel. The whole Yohel was there, and he got on his feet and he said, I'm sorry, but I disagree with you. And I say, the older a person is, the more covet he wants. Now, covet is a midah, which Rav Dessler says is a spiritual midah. It's not a physical midah. What does it mean? It means all the other middas are physical, are gashmi. For example, taivas achile is gashmi. That's to do with the body, and it's solely limited to the body, to nothing else. The same with money. Money is limited to the body, and all the other taivas are physical taivas. The taivas are covered is a ruchniisdike taiva. It's a taiva which is spiritual. Why? Because you can't touch it. You can't put your finger on it. Money you can touch. Money you can count. Money you can collect. You can gather. And the same food, and the same everything. But covet is something you cannot count, you cannot collect, you cannot gather, you cannot touch. You can't open an account in the bank for your old age. For covet. Maybe when I'll be older, I won't have covet, so I'll put away some covet. You can't put away covet. That's why the Geras Rambam, when he speaks about money, he says, why are you so proud of your riches? Hashem moirish umashir. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes people rich, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes people poor. So what are you so begaivet? Are you the balabos on your riches? But when he speaks about covet, he says, V'im bekovet, alo leileikim hu. If you want to be begaivet on your covet, you get. That bechlal belongs to Hashem. I asked the question, why does he quote a pasuk? Hashem mashpil af meroimim, umagbi ashfolim adofo. Why doesn't he quote the pasuk that HaKadosh Baruch Hu also brings up a person and he brings him down? Mashpil af meroimim. Same as he did for Moirish u'Ma'ashir. So why does he have to divert from Hashem, same as Hashem Moirish u'Ma'ashir? Hashem mashpil u'meroimim. Why does he say, Alo leloikim hu? Hashem moloch gius lovesh. And I explained, because covet is something which you can't grasp. It's not something which exists really. It's only it exists in the mind of people. 1 second it is there, the next second it is not. Chazal said, Kol mi shegodol be'enei atzmo koton be'enei acherim. Anyone who feels great in his own eyes, everybody looks at him as he is small. That he is small in the eyes of others. Anybody who is small in his own eyes, then he is great in the eyes of others. So what is all the subject of covet is in the mind of the people. Sometimes people look at you with admiration, with honor, and they give you honor, and the next moment they look down at you. So you see how flimsy it is, how elusive it is. That's why here he doesn't even mention the pasuk, Hashem makes you up and Hashem makes you down. Just says Leloikimu, that belongs to Hashem. And there is nothing there for you. Only belongs to Hashem. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Melech Geus Lovesh. He has got Geus constantly. Covet belongs to Hashem. We don't have covet. It doesn't exist at all. Because as soon as you say the covet belongs to me, then you lose it. As soon as you say I'm a chubet, you lose it. People look at you like a Michigan. We said in the Medrash about the Meraglim. When the Meraglim went to explore Eretz Yisrael, they came back and they brought a bad report on Eretz Yisrael. The Moitzi Dibo al Oretz. They spoke Lashon Hara on Eretz Yisrael. They spoke Lashon Hara on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They said, the people who lives there is stronger than him. Than HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chazal said. And they came back and they said, we came there and we saw the giants. Achimon, Sheishai, Vesalma, Yelide, Anok. Vanihi beinenu kachagovim. And we were in our eyes like grasshoppers, and so we were in their eyes. And there is a Medrash Tanchumeh. The Medrash Tanchumeh says the following. The Medrash Tanchumeh says like this: Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what you said, we were in our eyes like grasshoppers, I've forgiven you. But what you said, so we were in their eyes, I did not forgive you. Why? Because who told you that you were like grasshoppers in their eyes? Maybe you were like malachim, like angels. How do you know what they were thinking of you? How do you know? So what you say to yourself, we look so small, we are like grasshoppers, look how big they are. Fine. You're entitled to say such a thing. But to say, but so we were in their eyes, that they looked at us also like grasshoppers, this I did not forgive you. Why? Because who told you that you were like grasshoppers in their eyes? Maybe they were looking at you like angels. Maybe I put in their minds not to touch you, not to harm you. And I gave your fear in their eyes. As Chazal say, when Yidden do the mitzvahs, then their fear is on all the Ummah Olam. on all the nations of the world. When we do the mitzvahs, then the goyim are afraid of us. When we don't do the mitzvahs, when we do averes, then the goyim are not afraid of us, but they, on the contrary, they despise us and they look down at us. So how did you know that? The question here is that Rashi says that the Meraglim heard the giants when they were hiding, when the Meraglim were hiding under the leaves of the vine, where they were hiding in front of the giants. They heard the giants calling each other and saying, come here, look. Ants, there are ants here on the leaf of the vine, under the leaf of the vine, like little men. They've got little feet, little hands, a nose, 2 eyes, but they look like small like ants. And they heard. The Meraglim heard the giants talking like that. So how can the Rebbeinu Shalom say, I did not forgive you for what you said, that so we were in their eyes like grasshoppers? But they heard the giants telling each other that they are like ants. So they heard it from them. So what's the time? What's the accusation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu against them? And the answer is this. Of course they said, look, there are little ants in the form of men. But what conclusion did they take out of this? What did they say? Were they afraid of those little men? Yeah? Or were they not? We see that they were afraid, because they didn't touch them. So why did you say then? Why did this bring you to speak Lashon Hora and to make people, Klal Yisrael, to give up the going into Eretz Yisrael by saying those giants are stronger than us? We were like grasshoppers in our eyes, and so we're in their eyes. Meaning they are not afraid of us. Who told you they are not afraid of you? Because you were small. Small doesn't mean anything. You can look at a little man here and be afraid of him, because who knows what power he has. The Rebbeinu Shalom had put on him the fear of the Yidden, on the giants. Chazal say an elephant is afraid of the little fly. You know why? Because the fly can climb up his trunk and reach up right up to his brain. So as soon as an elephant sees a little fly, he panics, and he's such a strong beast, such very tall, and what is a fly for an elephant? Garnished. No, a little fly is so small, but the fear of a little fly is on the elephant. With all his smallness, but he sends a fear of Hashem into the elephant to show us that Eimas HaKoton Al HaGodel, same Klal Yisrael, Atem HaMe'at Mikol Ha'amim. We are the smallest nation. Yes? And our fear is on all the Umas Oilom. All the Umas Oilom are afraid of Klal Yisrael. That's why they bother so much in all the newspapers about us. That's why they give us the first line. They are afraid of Klal Yisrael, Umas Oilom. So as steht in Chazal, it's a Mensch. So what was the big accusation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the Meraglim? That on that what you said, and so we were in their eyes. You know why? Besides the explanation we just gave now. Because it's just said before, anybody that is small in his own eyes is great in the eyes of others. So if you felt so small in your own eyes, you said we are so insignificant. We are like grasshoppers. So you should have realized that the smaller you look at yourself, the bigger you are in the eyes of others. What is the big difficulty in working on humility? For example, we all know it is very hard to apologize. It's never easy to apologize. Why is it hard to apologize? Why is it hard to behave in an inferior behavior in front of other people? Why is it hard to work on another? Because we are afraid that people will believe us. If we behave like gar nicht, they'll take us for gar nicht. I heard once from Moshe Schwab. Once I went to, after I was a Maggid Shir in the yeshiva in Or Yosef in France, I went back to Gateshead for collect money. And I wanted to sleep in the yeshiva with the bochim. Now Moshe Schwab didn't let me. So no, you've got your Maggid Shir, now you're not a bochim in the yeshiva, so you have to behave in a dignified way. And it's not for your covet to sleep in the yeshiva with bochim. I said, what does it matter? He said one thing, he said, if you behave like a gar nicht, you'll stay a gar nicht. I didn't understand what he meant, really, very frankly, because it seems to go against Chazal. Because Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm a gar nicht. He said, I'm a gar nicht. He wasn't afraid that if he behaves like a gar nicht, then he'll stay a gar nicht. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't stay a gar nicht. Because he was such an honor, he was chosen by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to receive the Torah. This steht in Chazal. Yeah. So the fact that he felt he was a gar nicht didn't harm him at all, didn't depreciate him at all. He didn't stay a gar nicht, far from it. And Chazal says the one who is small in his own eyes is great in the eyes of others. So what did Moshe Schwab? Maybe that's what he meant. There is an halacha in Yeridea. A Rebbe is not allowed to be too familiar with his Talmidim. For example, he's not allowed to eat with them. He's not allowed to bathe with them. He's not allowed to joke with them. He has to keep a certain protocol. Why? Because by being too familiar with his Talmidim, he'll encourage his Talmidim not to give him kavod. They'll take him for serious. That is like one of them, like a good friend. And they will not have the aimer, the fear that the Talmid has to have in front of his Rebbe. And by lacking of that fear, they will not study Torah properly. Right? So the question is like this. Why are we afraid if the Rebbe is too familiar with his Talmidim, they lack respect for him? But we just said before, the smaller you feel, the greater you are in the eyes of others. So if the Rebbe feels small in the eyes of his Talmidim, so the Talmidim on the contrary will think he's great. For example, Rabbi Yisrael Yankev, the Mashgiach of Baranovich, the Yeshiva of Rabbi Elchanan Basserman, when a Talmid came to him to ask him a question, he got up in front of his Talmid. So people asked him, Rebbe, that's the way how the Mashgiach in the Yeshiva behaves with his Talmidim, to get up in front of them? He said, yes, he said, since I'm a Mashgiach, I have to teach them Midas Toives, and the best of all Midas Toives is Anove, so therefore I get up in front of them to teach them Anove. Now tell me, is that behavior of Rabbi Yisrael Yankev will cause the Talmidim to lack respect? On the contrary, they gave him even more respect because of that. Or let's give another example. Once in the Shir, I remember, many times, Rabbi Levgovich, Zecher Tzadik Livrocha, he didn't know an answer on a question which Talmid asked him. Yeah? So he wasn't afraid to confess in public, I don't know the answer. He wasn't afraid. He didn't try to invent something which wasn't right. Or to find an excuse. Or to brush him off and say, I have no time for your questions now. He could have avoided the confrontation. But he did not. He said, it's a good question, I don't know the answer. I remember this, for us Talmidim, was a greater lesson than the lesson itself. And he did not depreciate our kavod for our Rebbe. On the contrary, we took him as an example of honesty and humility. And fikert, if he would behave the opposite, like many do, then the Talmud will hate him for his dishonesty and for his haughtiness. So why then, how do you reconcile the two things? The answer is, there is a real anove and there is a false anove. A real anove is when a person wants to be mechabed the other person. When I see the qualities of the person in front of me, and I admire that person for those qualities, and I see I myself lack those qualities, then this is real anove, and people respect you for it. There is another kind of anove, which is, we can call it an anove behamis, a bestial anove, an anove which comes from taive. For example, I want to confident people, they should think I am a very good person, so I lower myself and behave like them so that they should look at me and say, look, he's a very good fellow, he doesn't think he's very greater than us. Here I'm a roidef achar hakoved by behaving like a onof. But what is the motivation? I'm roidef achar hakoved. It's the koved which pushes me to behave in anivus. In that case, the Talmidim will see me for what I am, and they look down at me. So when we say that a Rebbe is not allowed to behave in a way which is too familiar with his Talmidim, we're talking in a case when he doesn't do it out of anove really. He does it out of either he wants their approbation, or Stan, he can't care less. He likes to joke, so he jokes with anybody, with his Talmidim as well. He doesn't do it with a kavanah miyuchedes, with a specific intention to be mechabet, you understand? He wants to get covered out of them, or he wants to get enjoyment out of them. It's all a matter of what is the real intention is deep down. If the real intention is because it comes from my feeling small, then this is true anove. But if it comes from I want covered and be popular with people, and because of that I go and behave like one of them, like Clinton, he plays saxophone in front of the television. He wants to show he's a person like everybody else. You see, I'm not a stuffy personage. I'm as like one of you. In that case, as we say in the Pasuk, Ki yilel rosh al tavas nafshoi. There's a vertel, it's not a pshat. A person is ready to behave like Hillel on his tavas nafshoi, on his taiva. For example, he eats at the table without manners, and he says, because I'm not a balgaive, I don't care what people think of me. That's not anove, that. That's not anove. That is the pshat. The taiva is so great that he is ready to forego his dignity in order to eat like a behemoth without any dignity. Understand? That is not called anove, that. And that's what we mean when we say false anove. That's what he meant, Moshe Schwab, when he said, when you behave like a gornish, me bleibt a gornish. When the person let go of his old self-esteem, just for the sake of atzlus, of laziness, or to spare some money, for example, he doesn't want to pay for a hotel. So he says, I can sleep with the bochrim. Is this true anove? It's not true anove. It's exchanging one taiva for another. It's kedai to let go of my covet, my dignity, in order to spare some money. In that case, it's not called anove. In that case, people will look at him and say, "This is agornisht." So one is to be very careful when it comes to a matter of dignity, of behavior, how to behave, whether it comes from real anove or it is an anove which is a bestial anove, shifrus. There's another way how to explain this. Shifrus and gaiva. It's already a bit late. I think we'll stop here. All right. So this is the sequence. That is the conclusion of the matter. All the parshas which we are reading now, with the Meraglim, with Koirach, we have to take a Musa Haskel, especially Ben Odom Lachaveiro. It's very nogea, very, very, very important. Ben Odom Lachaveiro, Ben Ish Ishto, as we said before, that all the problems of Onoas Devorim, of friction between people and disagreement and lack of pleasance and not sholem is all bound because we are not giving the proper attention to what really is inside what we are doing. Are we wanting to give cover to others, or we want the